The stars above were cold. They stretched far across the black sky like silent watchers. Alira sat in her small ship, staring at nothing. Her hands rested on the control panel, unmoving. She had left everything: her people, her home, her name. She wasn't even sure what she was now. The last words of her mother still echoed in her mind. "You are no longer of us." She didn't cry. Her kind didn't believe in such things. But her chest ached. Not from shame, but from something else. She had refused the final order. She had stopped the attack on a peaceful world. She had spared life, and for that, she had been cast out. Her ship drifted through the edge of dead space. Her food supplies were low, energy was fading. She didn't care much. Then her scanner picked up something strange, a signal, old and weak, coming from a nearby planet. She looked at the screen. It was marked as Valen, a shattered world. Once rich and beautiful, it had been broken in a great war between ancient powers. No one lived there anymore, the record said. No life, no cities, no future. But the signal was real. Alira followed it. The planet was cracked, sky filled with storms and dust. From orbit, she saw massive scars across the land, like claw marks made by something older than war. She landed in the shadow of a ruined tower. As she stepped outside, the wind hit her hot and dry. The air was thin, but breathable. She walked. There were broken roads and half-sunken buildings. Statues of long-lost leaders stood broken, their faces wiped away by time. She expected silence. Instead, she heard a sound. Metal, striking metal, carefully. She moved toward the noise. Her blade was in her hand, even if her heart wasn't ready for another fight. But what she found wasn't a weapon or a threat. It was a man alone, human, dressed in rough clothes, hammering a metal panel into place. He didn't look up, not at first. She stood there, confused. Finally, he glanced her way and said, "Need something?" She didn't speak. He wiped sweat from his brow. "You don't talk? That's fine. Just don't break anything." Then he went back to work. Alira didn't leave. She stayed in the ruins, watching. Each day, the Mandavan, she would later learn, worked on machines. Cleared old paths, planted strange crops in the dirt. She kept her distance, but he always seemed to know she was there. "There's extra water in the pipe behind the wall," he told her one evening. "Take it before the sun burns it off." She did. Days passed. She found herself helping quietly, things, fixing cracked walls, studying old systems. Devon never asked questions. He never asked her name. He just nodded and kept going. Once, during a cold night, started a fire and tossed her a piece of dried food. "You don't have to stay, he said. She replied softly, "I know." But she didn't leave. One morning, she stood on a broken bridge and stared at the horizon. The wind carried sand across the land. From that high point, she saw it all, what remained of Valen. Ruins stretched for miles, bones of a once great city. She asked, "Why are you here?" He shrugged. "Someone had to be." "Why you?" He smiled a little. "Because I lost everything here. Figured maybe I could give something back." She didn't understand at first. Later she would. That evening, they worked side by side fixing a power node. It sparked when she touched it, and she pulled back quickly. He grinned. "You've got the right instincts." "I was a warrior," she said. "Now I am nothing." "Then be something else," he replied. "No one's stopping you." Those words stayed with her. Soon, she asked more about him, about this place, about why he hadn't gone back to Earth. He told her he had fought in the last war. His team had helped defend Valen from attackers. They had failed. Millions had died. His friends were gone. When the call came to retreat, he stayed. "The dead don't need a grave," he said. "They need someone to remember." Alira felt something shift inside her. She began to walk the land more. She saw old machines buried in the ground, their cores still humming. The planet was wounded but not dead. It was waiting. Just like her, one night she stood under the stars beside Devon. They didn't speak. Finally, she said, "This world doesn't want conquerors. It wants caretakers." He nodded. "Let's give it one." She looked at him. Not as a human, not as a stranger, but as someone who saw value in broken things. She had left her kin to find silence instead. The sun on Valen rose weakly, hidden behind dusty clouds. The light was soft, almost gentle, like the planet didn't want to wake up. Alira stood at the edge of a cracked plateau, watching the wind move across the ruins below. She didn't know why, but she felt lighter now. Not happy as she didn't remember what that felt like, but at peace. Devin walked up behind her. He had a tool bag slung over his shoulder and dirt on his hands. He handed her a small device. "You're better with tech than I am," he said. "This one's given me trouble." She took it, turning it over. It was an old relay chip, half burned, half active. She smiled without thinking. It was fixable. "We'll need to reroute the energy lines," she said. "You're the boss," he replied. They spent the morning rebuilding the power node inside the remains of what used to be a city hub. The walls were scorched, but the structure still stood. They worked without needing to speak much. Devin handed her tools. Lyra reprogrammed the circuits. Slowly the lights flickered on. When they finished, Devin tapped a switch. A low hum filled the air, and a small section of the grid glowed blue. "That's one more block with power," he said, wiping sweat from his forehead. Alira looked around. The machines felt old, but they were still loyal. They just needed hands to wake them up, the same way she had needed someone to remind her she still had worth. As days passed, more of Valen came alive. They found ancient turbines, broken but restorable. They discovered old irrigation systems buried under rubble. Every small thing they fixed brought a piece of the world back. They started calling the place, to reach a small zone of working systems, lights, and growing plants. No one lived there but them, but it no longer felt dead. One afternoon, Devin found Alira crouched by a cracked dome. She was planting seeds in fresh soil. "You really think they'll grow here?" he asked. "There?" "From my world," she said. "They grow in hard places," he smiled. "Seems fitting." When night came, they sat by a fire near a broken statue. The sky above them was filled with stars. Alira looked up and asked quietly, "Do you miss your people?" Devin stared at the flames for a while. "I miss the ones I lost," he said. "The rest? Not really. Too many followed orders without thinking." Alira nodded. "My kin did the same. That's why I left." He looked at her. "Funny how we ended up in the same broken place." "Maybe broken things call to broken people," she said softly. He didn't argue. The next day, while clearing a collapsed street, they found something unexpected: an old scanner, half buried in rubble. Alira powered it on. The signal was faint, but present. "It's connected to the old relay towers," she said. "If we bring them back online, we can map the whole city. And maybe more," Devin added. They got to work. They traveled through cracked tunnels and across fallen bridges. Sometimes they had to dig their way through. Other times, they climbed over walls covered in vines and dust. Together, they brought life back to old machines that had slept for decades. The towers responded slowly, one by one. Each time they restored one, their map grew. More ruins, more systems, more secrets. Alira began to wonder if the world had been waiting for someone like Devin, someone who didn't take but gave, someone who didn't shout but listened. They returned to the Reach with their map glowing softly in their hands. "We're waking up something," she said. "Valen's not done yet," Devin replied. But not all signals were friendly. One night, as Alira monitored the restored relay, a sharp ping hit the screen. A ship, then another, and another. She froze. Devin leaned over. "That's not a merchant fleet. They're from my people," she said. They followed the signal. "Do they know you're here?" "They'll find out soon." They watched as the ships hovered in orbit, scanning the surface. Lyra's heart beat faster. Her kin had come not for her, but for the power. They always wanted control. Devin stood up slowly. "We need to prepare." Alira nodded. "They won't care about what we built. They'll just take. Then we make sure they don't." They didn't have weapons. They didn't have shields. They had the planet tanned. The planet was waking up. That night, Alira walked alone through the ruins. She touched old machines, whispered to old spirits, remembered the songs of her people's songs from before the wars. She wasn't a warrior anymore, but she wasn't weak. She returned to the Reach, where Devin was working on a control panel. He looked up at her. "You ready?" he asked. She held her blade in one hand, the relay map in the other. "Let them come," she said, and far above them, the sky shimmered with the arrival of unwelcome ships. The alien ships hovered above Valen like silent birds of prey. Their dark shapes cast long shadows across the broken land. The sky, once quiet, now carried the low hum of energy pulses and scanning beams. The planet's silence had ended inside. The Reach, Devin tightened an old panel with a wrench. His movements were slow but sure. Nearby, Alira worked on linking the defense grid and ancient system she had found buried beneath the surface days ago. It was half dead, but with enough power and the right codes it might respond. She looked up at the sky. Her jaw was tight, her eyes sharp. "They're scanning the power lines," she said. "Let them," Devin replied. "We've got surprises waiting. You really think we can stop them?" Devin stood, wiped his hands on a rag, and gave her a small smile. "I don't need to stop them. I just need to make them hesitate." Alira blinked. "You want to scare them? They think this place can fight back. They'll act slower. Make mistakes." She nodded. "Fear can be useful." Alira moved quickly through the ruins, activating buried systems. The defense network was old, far older than even her people's history. The machines responded to touch and thought, humming like voices remembering their purpose. Meanwhile, Devin spread simple decoys, old drones patched together to look like active guns. He painted strange markings on walls, signals only humans would know. Trap zones, hazard zones, and do not enter. They were lies, but lies told. Well, hours later, one of the alien ships broke off and landed a small team near the outer edge of the Reach. Alira and Devin watched from behind a crumbled wall. "Scouts," she whispered. The aliens moved with skill, weapons drawn, scanning the area. They walked carefully, watching the land. One of them stepped on a buried plate. It sparked, then exploded. In a burst of light and sound, shockwave wasn't deadly, but it threw them back. Scouts fell, scrambled, and pulled out fast. The message was clear. The planet was not undeafened. Devin raised an eyebrow. That was the last of the plasma charges. It was enough, Alira said. "They'll report back." They did. Within hours, the main ship sent a message. "This world belongs to the Viari Union. Treat and surrender the relics," Alira responded. She stood in front of a camera and spoke in her native tongue. "Valen belongs to no one. It sleeps under our feet and wakes by our hands. If you try to take it too, we'll lose more than ships." Devin listened, arms crossed. "You've got a voice when you want one." "I learned from you," she said simply. For 2 days, the ships held their position. Then, on the third day, they launched a small attack. Alira and Devin activated the old defense nodes. Pillars rose from the ground, releasing waves of electromagnetic force. The attacking ship wobbled, lost its shield, and crashed into a distant hill. It wasn't destroyed, but it didn't come back. Devin leaned against a support beam that evening. "We can't keep this up forever." "We don't need forever," Alira said. "Just long enough." "For what?" "For the planet to help us." She led him to the heart of the Rechan old temple built by the first ones. The machines. They were quiet, but not dead. Alira placed her hand on the central altar. It glowed softly. "These are not just machines," she said. "They are memory. They hold the will of the world." "You think they'll fight for us?" "Think they already are." Devin stepped closer, staring at the strange shapes moving inside the glow. He felt something deep, ancient, patient. Like the planet itself was watching, Alira said. "Valen remembers pain, remembers those who hurt it. But it also remembers those who try to heal it." Devin looked at her. "Then let's give. It's something to remember." The next day, The VR commander sent another message. Stand down. This time, Devin answered. If you could have done that, you would have already, he said. But you're afraid of something you don't understand, and that fear will be your undoing. The silence that followed was long then. Suddenly, the alien ships pulled back. They didn't leave, but they stopped pushing. Days passed during that time. Devin and Alira continued restoring systems. They linked the last relay tower. Now all of Valen's central systems were under their control. The planet wasn't whole, but it was awake. Ailey Ross stood in the breeze, looking out over the land. They'll come again, and we'll be. Ready? Devin said. She turned to him. You've become something here. What's that? A guardian, he laughed. Not much of one. You stayed when others ran. You healed what others forgot. You believed in a broken world. Shrugged. Maybe that's just what humans do. She nodded. Or maybe that's what good people do. And above them, the stars continued to turn. The ships still watched. But for now, Valen had its defenders, and the planet no longer felt alone. The air over Valen was tense. The alien ships still circled in the sky, watching like silent predators. Below, Devin and Alira worked harder than ever. The planet had responded to them before. Now they needed it again. Deep in the ruins, they uncovered something strange, an old chamber beneath the city's heart. The door was sealed tight, covered in vines and dust. Alira touched the surface. The metal pulsed under her hand. This is from before my people, she said. Devin stepped. Closer. Should we open it? Yes, she whispered. Together, they used power from the restored grid to unlock the chamber. The door slid open slowly, air rushing out like a breath held for centuries. Inside, soft lights flickered on, one by one, revealing rows of strange devices, tall crystal columns. Glowing faintly with ancient energy, Alira walked among them, her fingers brushing the sides. These are memory cores, voices of those who lived before. Can we use them? Devin asked. We don't need to. We need to listen. Alira activated one of the cores. A soft hum filled the room. Then a voice spoke not in words, but in sound and feeling. It wasn't meant for just one species. It was meant for anyone who could understand pain and hope. They heard stories of a people who built wonders, cared for the land, who fell when greed came from the stars. The planet had once been full of beauty and light. Then war had burned it all. Devin sat quietly, listening. They tried to protect this place. Yes, Alira said, and now it's our turn. Suddenly the ground shook. Alarms lit up on. Their devices incoming, Devin said. Standing up fast, the alien ships had launched a new attack. Alira grabbed her blade. They're targeting the power grid. Devin activated the nearby defense nodes. We'll hold them. The sky lit up with blasts. The towers they had rebuilt fought back with beams of light and pulses of force. Some enemy crafts fell. Others dodged and circled around. One ship crashed into the edge of the reach, throwing debris into the air. Devin ran toward the impact site with Alira behind. They found a wounded scout crawling from the wreckage. Alira raised her weapon but stopped. Scout was young, scared, and injured. Devin stepped in front of her. No need. Alira lowered her blade. Go, she told the scout. The alien looked at her, confused, then limped away without a word. Devin watched her. You're not like them. I never was, she said quietly. Back at the temple, the memory cores began to pulse faster. One of the towers nearby glowed brighter than before. Alira frowned. They're reacting to something. Devin checked the readings. They're pulling power from us? No, Alira said. They're giving it to us. What? The memory cores released a wave of energy across the land. The soil shook. From deep under the ruins, more machines rose long-lost structures. Defense towers, energy wells, and strange floating orbs that hovered silently above the city. It's waking up, Devin said. All of it. The attackers saw the change. Their scanners flashed warnings. The planet was no longer passive. From above, the alien commander sent another message. You've triggered ancient systems. You don't know what you've done. Devon replied calmly. We didn't trigger anything. We earned it. Ships began to retreat. A few tried to attack again, but the new defense towers responded quickly, striking with precision. This was no longer a small zone they could control. Whole city was alive. Ali Ra stood at the highest point of the ruins, looking out over the land. Broken towers now stood tall. Lights flickered across the hills. And deep underground, the voices of the past whispered through the machines. Devon joined her. We bought some peace. For now, she said. But they'll return with more. Then we keep building. And if we fall, then we fall protecting something worth saving. Alira looked at him. You've changed, you know. How? You no longer just remember the dead. Now you protect the living. He didn't answer, but his eyes softened. In the days that followed, they spread the signal. A beacon sent out through the stars, not a call for help, but a message of warning. And hope, Valen is no longer forgotten. It lives again. It will not kneel. Some who heard the message ignored it. Others listened. And far away, quiet worlds began to stir, wondering if it was truth that a shattered realm had risen again with a human at its side and an alien outcast guarding its gates. Alira walked the ruins at night, hand resting lightly on her blade, eyes scanning the sky. She wasn't looking for war. She was watching for the future. The stars above Valen were cold and distant, but below them the planet was alive. Lights flickered in the ruins, machines hummed softly, and the land slowly healed from its ancient wounds. Alira and Devon stood side by side, looking out over what they had built, a reach of hope in a world once lost. But peace was fragile. News came that the Vayara Union was gathering more ships, larger fleets, more weapons. They believed the planet held secrets that could give them power beyond their dreams. They thought taking Valen would be easy. Alira looked at Devon. They don't understand. They never do. We need to prepare the realm, not just to fight, but to survive. Devon nodded. We've built walls and machines, but we need more. We need people. Alira smiled faintly. Then we gather them. They sent messages through the stars, calling to anyone who would listen, refugees, outcasts, those tired of war. Slowly, travelers came, human and alien alike drawn. By the promise of a new home, the reach grew. Farms spread across cracked earth. Water flowed in clear streams once more. Children played where soldiers once fought. Life was returning. One day a strange ship landed. Its crew was wary but hopeful. They brought news from distant systems. Others had heard the story of Valen and wanted to help. Alira greeted them, her voice steady. This is a place for those who believe in rebuilding, not conquering. The newcomers worked with Devon and Alira. They repaired old ships, shared knowledge, and trained to protect the realm. The shattered world was becoming whole again. But the Vayara Union was not idle. Their fleets arrived in force, dark shapes blotting the sky. The battle to claim Valen had begun. Devon stood on the bridge of a rebuilt cruiser. His eyes were calm, but fierce. They think they can take the realm with weapons, he said. But they don't know what we've become. Alira stood beside him. We fight for more than land or power. We fight for a future. The first wave of attacks hit hard. Explosions shook the ground. Machines rose from hidden places, firing. Beams of light that tore through enemy ships. Devon and Alira coordinated defenses, their voices steady amid the chaos. The enemy was strong, but the realm fought back harder. In one battle, a Vayari dreadnought charged the heart of the Reach. Alira led a team to activate the ancient defense cores beneath the city. The ground trembled, and from deep below, energy surged up in towering pillars that struck the dreadnought with unstoppable force. The massive ship broke apart, crashing into the ruins with a thunderous roar. Victory was theirs, but the cost was high. Devon surveyed the battlefield. Friends lost, buildings destroyed, the land scarred once more. Yet hope still burned. This realm will not fall, he said. Ali Ra placed a hand on his arm. Because we are more than just survivors, we are guardians. Together, they rebuilt after each attack, growing stronger and closer. The people of Valen found courage in each other, in their leaders, and in the land itself. One evening, as the sun set behind jagged mountains, Alira and Devon stood on a hill overlooking the reach. Children laughed nearby. A new song began to rise from the homes. Alira whispered, "I left my kin to find silence. Instead, I found a family." Devon smiled. "And I stayed in a broken place, only to find a reason to fight." Their hands touched, a quiet promise between two guardians of a shattered realm. The stars above shone brighter now, watching over a world reborn not by war or conquest, but by the strength of two souls who believed in hope. The war over Valen had lasted longer than anyone expected. Ships had come and gone, machines had broken and been rebuilt, lives had been lost, and hope had been found again. But now, the moment had come to decide the future. Alira and Devon stood, together on the highest tower of the Reach, looking out at the horizon. The enemy's last fleet was approaching, larger, stronger, more determined than before. But this time Valen was ready. The planet itself seemed to pulse with power. Ancient machines stirred beneath the ground. Energy flowed through restored grids and floating orbs. The land hummed like a great beast, waking from a long sleep. Devon looked at Alira. "This is it," she nodded. "We fight not just for ourselves, but for everyone who believes in this realm." The people of Valen gathered, human and alien. Old and young, warriors stood beside farmers, technicians beside children, all ready to protect their home. The battle began. The sky lit up with blasts and fire. Ships clashed in great storms of light. Defense towers struck with precision, while ground teams moved swiftly through ruined streets. Defending their homes, Alira led a squad deep into the city's core, where the most ancient machines lay hidden. Her hands moved over control panels, activating defenses that had not been used in centuries. She felt the power flow through her, a connection between her, the planet, and the past. Devon piloted a cruiser at the front lines. His eyes were steady, his mind sharp. He coordinated attacks and defenses, guiding his team with calm confidence. The enemy was fierce. They were met with something unexpected, a united force that refused to break. In the heart of the battle, Alira faced the Vayari commander. She raised her voice through the comms, strong and clear. "This realm is alive. It belongs to those who protect it, not those who destroy it." The commander sneered. "You will fall. Your hope is weakness." "Hope is the strongest weapon." Alira replied. The fight pushed harder. Explosions rocked the ground. Ships fell, but the defenders held firm. Then a great wave of energy burst from the planet's core. Ancient machines rose, casting light and power across the battlefield. Enemy ships faltered, their weapons failing against the planet's own defense. Devon saw the change and pushed forward. Now is our time. With one final strike, the enemy fleet was broken. Ships fled or were destroyed. Silence fell over the battlefield. Velan had survived. The people cheered, tears mixing with dirt and sweat. Alira and Devon stood together, their hearts heavy but proud. "We did it," Devon said quietly. "No," Alira answered. "The planet did it. We only helped it remember who it was." Devon smiled. "Then let's make sure it never forgets again." In the weeks that followed, Valen healed faster than ever. New settlers arrived. Old ruins were rebuilt. The realm grew not as a place of war, but as a symbol of unity. Alira sent a message to her kin, not of anger, but of peace. "I left because I believed in a better way. Now I have found it here. Valen is home." Devon stood beside her, watching the sun rise over fields of green. He came looking for silence and found a future. She looked at him, eyes soft. "And you stayed in a broken place, only to become its guardian." They clasped hands, a quiet promise to each other and the realm they protected. The stars above twinkled with approval, as if the universe itself smiled on the shattered realm now whole. And so the story of Alira and Devon ended not with war, but with hope, a hope that even in broken places, new life can grow, and guardians can rise where least expected.